Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all once again to SimSpeed TV. It's Dirt Night, it's Sprint Car Night, round 6 of the Australian Sim Racing Group's Sprintcar Pro Invitational series, taking us to Fairbury Speedway. This is a round that I've been excited for quite some time, and I really hope that we get the action that this track has brought in the past. Bringing it to you live here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. It is myself, Reese Gardner, with Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box once again. Fairbury is a bull ring, Scott, and to top it all off, we're racing the 410s around here for the first time.
Yeah, and you know, that's a little bit of an emphasis that I think you needed to say that once again. Reese, could you just that last little bit, capture that one again?
We are racing 410 sprint cars at Fairbury in this series for the first time.
And put the emphasis on that. 410 sprint cars around this tiny little place. Mentioned it's a bull ring, it's short, it's tricky, and I think we're going to see another challenging one. There's been a little bit of back and forth about what do we think the driver standards are doing, and I really think at the moment, I think you're actually experiencing a lot of that in the Australian simosphere just in general at the moment. There's a little bit of debate about, you know, aggressiveness and that sort of stuff, but if there's something that's going to challenge aggression, it's a narrow, short, speedy little track, and driving the biggest cars that we actually have available to us at this track is going to challenge those driving standards to the utmost. So, Reese, just one more time for me.
We're racing 410s at Fairbury.
For the first time.
For the first time, yes. Oh, man. Yeah, a fantastic circuit, Fairbury, and plenty to think about coming into this round. A lot of drivers with past form. This is the schedule. We are currently there at round 6, going to Weed Sport next week as we visit New York for the first time in the season. A long season indeed. We're going to be racing all the way till October, and we're covering just about every dirt oval on the iRacing service. Maybe a couple of exceptions, Scott, but yeah, we're really running the gamut of venues, aren't we?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenging one, particularly right the way throughout that calendar as well. Just trying to change things up, get it right throughout the thing. But the big thing is, talking about over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months that we've already been talking about to this point, multiple different things. And the fact that you can race here or you can turn up here to YouTube on every given Wednesday night throughout the year and there's racing, but we're also challenging a lot of those different venues because we've got this one here tonight. This is going to be a challenge, but I think the next cool one that's coming up is Porsche Cup Pro. The next round for them is off to Le Mans. The next round for V8 Pro is that we are actually off to the first of our endurance races in the middle of winter at Phillip Island. That's going to be a freezing one.
Interesting. That's quite early for an endurance round. We'll obviously be having a lot to dissect when that comes around, but for the moment, the championship standings in this series, after the 5th round, Tim Ryan keeping the championship lead alive here versus Clayton Davies, Tanner Pettit and Aidan Forster, falling back a tiny little bit. Tanner Pettit was right up the top of the standings for quite some time in those opening rounds. Matthew Gowans rounding out the top 5, but he's only 2 points ahead of Paul Bryan. Harry Stewart, Kelly Carman, Bradley Oldfield and Zach Rattray White round out your top 10. It is a pretty solid spread of drivers and teams, but Tanner Pettit Racing is certainly the team to beat right now.
Yeah, a lot of speed coming from those guys there. They're really sort of starting to staple it together and keep it together on a pretty consistent note as well. So, the fact that Clayton, Tanner and Aiden are basically challenging for wins week in and week out, and it's really, really interesting to point out at this juncture in terms of the championship as well. The guy that sits second out of those top 4, hasn't won a race yet. So it's been a battle of consistency. Clayton has been there and he missed out on it by thousandths of a second last time out. But then you add the rookie championship standings in and amongst this. Yeah, we've got the big American guys that are out here and absolute bashing about the books, but Kelly Carman's been a really, really interesting change up of note. I mean, we expected Tanner and Aiden to dominate it, but if you really eliminate them, have a look at Kelly Carman. He's stepped up. Hutchison stepped up. Ethan Foley, and Ethan Foley's actually been listed here, at least on our notes tonight, as a wild card to potentially challenge for a podium from this track. Really, really strong, particularly in the wingless sprints and the smaller capacity classes and shorter tracks. Cars that require a little bit more throttle technique and don't have as much downforce on them. The wingless variety is sort of what we're talking about there. That's going to lend those sorts of skills into 410s racing at this track. It's a little bit more of a transferable skill set. So again, keep an eye on Foley. Could be an outside threat of actually putting a podium together here tonight.
Yeah, midgets, speed cars, whatever you want to call them, drivers that are strong in the midgets on iRacing, like Carman, Hutchison, Foley, O'Neill, and Baxter Truchet as well, have been named as drivers to look out for in our notes here. Past winners, we had quite a big break in ODSE competition. First racing here in 2020, the Simpson Midget Shootout, won by Alex Bergeron, and then the 360 Power Series, Joel Berkeley taking the win there. We had to wait all the way until 2024 to race at Fairbury again in ODSE competition, and Clayton Davies took top honours that time by last year's winner, Joel Berkeley. But once again, all of the sprint car races here thus far have been in 360 sprint cars, 360 cubic inches of capacity. Well, you add another 50 cubic inches and you really up the power and the weight. Bit of history here and context for those of you unfamiliar with Fairbury. Actually opened as a horse racing track in the 1870s and first opened for car racing in 1922. Only 400 meters in length. It's almost as wide as it is long. At least that's the way it looks from a map. But one thing that really jumps out to me is the caution numbers. Last time out, we had 6 cautions in the A main, and I think with the 410s racing around here, the potential for that just increases.
I mean, it actually could go both ways, because sometimes when you increase the capacity, like what's happened right here as well, is that number could jump down because it's a little bit trickier of a combination. The trickier a combination, what tends to happen is you get a little bit more field spread. When it's, a lot more easy and it's a lot more close to full throttle, everyone's running that pace. The pace spread across the field is narrower. So the more tricky the combination is, think street circuits for the road racing guys that are among us, the more that you tend to get a wider pace spread because there's a lot more opportunity to show your skill. It's a short track, so naturally the pace spread comes down and comes back together again. But again, like I said, it's the difficulty with managing to get the full throttle. You are not going to be full throttle for the lap here. You are going to have to lift. You're going to have to, slow the car down, slide it, and therein comes the skill. Therein comes the differential. But therein also comes the opportunity for slide jobs in the past. So there's no better way to say it than my good old Sandman's favorite saying is catch-22, isn't it? It could go one way, but really that one thing that's driving it one direction could be the thing that sees it go in the other.
Yeah, certainly. The format for tonight, making a bit of a return to what we saw for the first couple of rounds. Our good friend the Spinny Wheel is back. The second place finishers in the heats will have a redraw for positions 6 through 10 for the A main grid. Heat winners will redraw for positions 1 through 5 on the A main grid. Apart from that, it's your usual format. Top 4 from each heat advance straight through to the A main. The top 4 from the C main advance to the B main, and the top 4 from the B main get to the A main. So that C main, once again, is going to be one of the most important races of the night, of which there will be many. Here's the important part, says Jay Kennedy.
Oh boy,
and yes, it is very important. I am apparently the overall leader of the Speedway draft picks for this season, and I'm looking forward to trying to keep that, Scott. But we'll see how our picks go tonight.
Yeah, tricky one, and I think you've gone for Tanner Pettit, which is based on recent form, but I'm also going the way of Clayton Davies. He's been pushing and challenging that way for our top slide. Jay's gone back to Tim Ryan. Again, the shorter tracks, he likes to get down on the bottom, wrap that bottom, and again, shows his speed in that manner. There's something a little bit in that. Harry Stewart has been a consistent pick here over the last couple of seasons. We saw how strong Ulick Sim Sports were here. The last time we were here, they locked out the podium. They really controlled the flow of things. You and I have both gone for Harry Stewart. Tanner Pettit, again, tough, strong pick, really hard to go past. And then it's a mixed bag, because I genuinely think it is mixed bag. I have bad news, though, for you tonight, Reese. Daniel Boyd, unfortunately, issues downloading updates to the sim, will not be in attendance.
Yeah, okay, so I'm missing out on some points there. Jay's certainly gone for an interesting choice. 2 $10,000 value drivers at Tim Ryan and Tanner Pettit. So he's really putting a lot of his eggs in that basket. We'll see if that basket tips over and we have an omelette to make at the end of the night. The drivers are currently out on track for the hot laps and practice presented by NBS 3D Printed RC and Slot Car Customs. And this is where we get the sense for just how rapid Fairbury is as a circuit. Bradley Oldfield topping the practice timesheets ever so briefly, but Zach Rattray-White, Joel Berkeley, Paul Bryan, Casey Hamilton, all putting it under 10 seconds for a lap time.
But yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? Under 10 seconds. So again, we're talking about tight, narrow, short racetracks, but also high horsepower. I don't expect they'll actually want us to run this track in too much, because there's going to be a lot of laps here during tonight. Shorter tracks, we want to run similar distance sort of heats and those sorts of things, means high lap counts. So I don't expect we'll actually be doing too much. This track's going to get very worn out by the end of the heats.
Oh yeah, very worn out indeed. Got to wonder if there's a track reset on the horizon for the feature. A lot of power, a lot of torque going through the rear wheels of these 410 sprint cars, and I guess with how much feathering of the throttle you have to do around here, you're practically wheel spinning the whole way round, so no wonder the track is going to be wearing in as quickly as it is. You'll see drivers trying to test this lower line here as well, a much tighter line round the bottom. The track flattens out down the bottom, and if anything, it's actually negatively cambered right up near the apex, so I don't think we'll be seeing drivers using that low line early on, but as the track wears in, we're going to be seeing them get closer and closer to those white tires.
Yeah, certainly, and you're going to move around a lot as well, and as that middle groove probably starts to wear out as well, that brings the bottom, so, short racetrack, really short down the bottom, but there's not a lot of straight to wind these big things all the way back up. But what they do have is more torque than their smaller capacity cousins as well. So that means you can again shift back down that racetrack and becomes an opportunity. So you're going to see that line transition all night long. But the big thing is that increase in banking as you get wider out there. It challenges you to want to go to the wall.
Yes, absolutely. Practice results then up on your screen. And Zach Rattray-White is the pace setter in practice. But remember, this is on a fresh track, more or less. The track has been grooved in a little more, so we'll see what more can be said about the pace here as they now get ready for qualifying presented by Sim Wrap Market. Nice spread of times here. Everyone, of course, very close, but seeing Harry Stewart, Tanner Pettit and co down there a little bit lower than I expected, I think they might just be preparing properly for qualifying.
Yeah, that there might be. So there was a little bit of a, again, direction from race control. Hey, we want you running this section of the racetrack here, and hey, we want you moving around as well. So, expect that coming into our qualifying session tonight. And, this is going to be a challenging one, I think, here, because qualifying, narrow, shorter tracks, a little bit less opportunity to pass. The big opportunity then becomes, where are you going to place this car on the racetrack? Which means that there is opportunity to go forwards, but there's also opportunity to go backwards, Reese.
Oh yes, we'll see how backwards some drivers end up being here out of this session, because Fairbury being such a rapid track, you make one mistake, it not only ruins your current lap, but it also has the opportunity to bleed into your second lap. Momentum is everything around here. One lap here, you basically need 2 laps to do 1 lap, right? Is that a good interpretation?
Yeah, pretty much. You're going to wind that thing up. You're basically trying to get that momentum going and position the car. And there is a preferred groove around here, but you also need to make sure that you start that lap with momentum. And Hamish Canestrari certainly got it a little bit wrong there, a little bit crossed up. Momentum's all gone, which means you lose both laps. Darcy Wilson, that was, I think, a wall tap on lap number 1, which means there's going to be an opportunity on lap number 2. Leeson's up and over. There's cars basically just going everywhere, Reese.
Yeah, and we haven't seen those qualifying times get anywhere near the practice and hot lap times. Harry Stewart on top on a 10.2 for the moment. Paul Bryan setting a 10.5 there for Man Up Sim Racing. And Daniel Boyd is actually in the server, it seems. He just put himself into 23rd place. So my points are saved, right?
Well, there was some discussion and some debate about getting patches and that sort of stuff done. So when I last spoke to the boys about that what they were saying was that, he wasn't certainly going to make it in. But Lachlan Mead said directly to me, don't pick me. A little bit too late, Lachlan. I've already picked you and locked you in at that point, buddy. So, yeah, I'm relying on you to put some strong points down, but good qualifying to start things off. A minute left in the session. The big numbers are starting to jump out there. Here comes Pettit.
All right, through turns 3 and 4, he is done, and that isn't good enough for P6. Nathan van der Wacker getting into the wall there, and no time yet for van der Wacker. Tim Ryan goes 8th fastest. Riley Hutchison goes 10th fastest. So, and Tim improves to P7, puts Casey Hamilton back to P8. Nathan van der Wacker then to the line. Let's see what he can do here in the 88. He's been searching. Ethan Foley to P4, Van der Wacker to P7. Now Aiden Forster goes to P5. Baxter Truchet P12. Have a look at Carmen and Truchet. I mean, we thought they'd be strong here today. They've just gone 2nd and 4th.
Yeah, but Harry Stewart's going to be the man who sets the quick time. 10 seconds left in the session. I think we're done. I think qualifying's over. Harry Stewart has got the time together, but the big news is the man who has been so quick, so consistent of late, and nearly nicked a win on the line last week, Clayton Davies, to come from the rear. This is not the racetrack that you want that one to be coming your way from. So Clayton Davies got some work to do.
Oh, certainly has. Joel Berkeley also didn't set a time in qualifying. Same for Jacob Freeman too. So, unfortunately, we won't be seeing what their pace is like until we get to the heats. Harry Stewart is going to be on top and on pole position for Heat 1, presented, of course, by Mono Creative. Darcy Walker is alongside him on the front row. We go to Rusty O'Neill and Riley Hutchison starting 3rd and 4th, and then the 3rd row of the grid, Brock Thompson and Darcy Wilson. Hadley Boyce is going to start P7 with David Baker alongside him, and the final car on this 9-car grid for the first heat, Trent Gosley, car number 4 for Middle Finger Racing. He is looking for some good luck. Hopefully he gets it tonight.
Yeah. Well, either way, I did actually just get a message from Team Boss over at Vortex. Daniel Boyd scraped into getting into that session. It was a last-second registration and trying to get things sorted. So for those of you who don't know, not really all that aware, not out here and on the Simosphere all the time, why are we talking about this today? Major patch just came through on the sim last night. Kicked off at 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time last night. That would have been 8 p.m. for the guys over in the West. Servers didn't come back up until well and truly after midnight last night. Well and truly after 10 a.m., 10 p.m. If you've got a job, you got to be out of the house, you got to get all that sort of stuff done. Sometimes there's issues in the way that things go racing, go patching. Normally, over the last couple of years, we've had the opportunity with a open schedule on our Thursday nights to move that away, run it the next week when it clashes with a patch week. Unfortunately, some of the adjustments, and this is the big thing, I think this series has benefited from being a part of the Australian Sim Racing Group on your Wednesday night. One of the negatives that comes is that you're fighting with those other series. As there are scheduled clashes right the way throughout the rest of the calendar, there's no opportunity to move around back a week, which means that if there is issues or there's something like this that happens, it's too bad, so sad. It sucks. Nobody wants to say those words. That's the world of racing. That's how it works sometimes.
Yeah, certainly is. One way or another, this event has to go forward, and it is happening right now. Daniel Boyd, of course, will be lucky to get into the server, and hopefully he can trade that slight problem on the way in for a good result. Have a look at the way the track looks here. There's plenty of loam up the top of the circuit, but hiding underneath that loam, I think, is a very slick groove indeed.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, and we're going to get that opportunity to find that out, but we're not going to know until about 5. Look at it on the straight. You can just see it. It's getting slick. It's getting shiny. First heat of the night. Round number 6. Here we go.
Green flag in the air. Harry Stewart puts the power down. We are racing at Fairbury Speedway. And Stewart running the high line is going to get the momentum. Same for Darcy Walker. But Rusty O'Neill attacking down low, trying to get further onto the podium. Under pressure is Riley Hutchison for the last position in the transfer. Remember, the top 4 go through to the feature, and that's caused some drama there. Round went Brock Thompson, loss of momentum, and Trent Gosley collected him.
Yeah, unfortunately, just nowhere to go. And we're talking about that narrowness of the racing groove early on. Darcy Walker's basically got a hand on P2 at this point in time, but Rusty O'Neill is starting to make a few people question whether or not they should add some faith in him. Sits P3 in the heat at the moment. Wilson hanging on to P4, but here comes Hutchison. He's starting to come back at him. He's going to swing down to the low side. Does nick the spot in the middle at turn 1 and 2, but by the time they get to halfway down the back straightaway, goes back the way of the Ulick car up on the high side in car number 5. Starting to run out of time in this here heat. Already past the halfway mark. No!
Oh, no! And for a brief moment, Hadley Boyce found himself in the transfer, only for an instant. That is such a shame. He finds himself back in P7, last running of the cars at the moment. But the battle for 4th is still on between Hutchison and Wilson, and Hutchison has no front wing. Neither does Wilson. It's an absolute demo derby for 4th place right now. Brock Thompson moves through. Remember, he was down and out early on. He could still have a chance to get through to the feature if things go his way here. He just needs to nail it. 1.5 laps remaining for our leader. Time is running out.
But already, Reese, have a look at that high side and have a look at the slick starting to build it up. We're only in heat number 1. Here comes the white flag for heat number 1 for this little battle pack. For Harry Stewart, he's just about got it all locked in. He's going to transfer through. Here comes Brock Thompson. He wants an easy route through tonight.
Oh!
Can he find some momentum? Checks Darcy Wilson up. He'll be sailing on through. He went backwards. He went backwards in a big way. But the man is lucky tonight.
Very nice recovery from Brock Thompson there. Dominant performance from Harry Stewart in the first heat of the night. He will transfer through with Darcy Walker, Rusty O'Neill, and Brock Thompson. Darcy Wilson, Riley Hutchison, last 2 finishers. They'll have to work their way through the alphabet. Same for Hadley Boyce, Trent Gosley, and David Baker, who was actually sent back to the pits due to connection issues. So some internet problems there for Baker. Moving on to heat number 2, Kelly Carman. What a performance in qualifying. Going to start from pole position for this one alongside Ethan Foley, who is also said to be very strong at this type of track. Tanner Pettit, though, championship contender, is going to be starting right behind them alongside Nash Granger on the 2nd row. Oscar Ames has P5. He's got Daniel Boyd with him. Boyd, of course, just scraping into the session after having trouble getting the patch sorted. Nathan Norman and Paul Ward, 7th and 8th. Last car on the grid is John Schultz for Man Up Sim Racing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what John can do here. He often pulls out a surprise here and there.
How interesting is it to have a look at those mixed bags? This is the first real mixed bag in terms of qualifying results we've had this season.
Yeah.
Generally, everyone's been pretty consistent. Tanner Pettit's coming from row 2 in this heat, still capable of taking it out. Think about this for the Rookie of the Year battle. That's Kelly Carman. He'd love to nick some points back off the Americans, and you've got Foley in there. We've got 3 of the big rookies in the championship this year, 1, 2, and 3 in this heat.
This is going to be a fun heat indeed. Kelly Carman with the world opening in front of him here as he enters the start zone. Green flag flies and power is down. The 410 Symphony descends again and almost riding the wall there. Make sure not to push it too hard. Tanner Pettit slotting into third very nicely, but we see Nash Granger making a big run around the outside there. Oscar Ames trying to defend, slides up, and that's Nathan Norman up and into the fence and out of the heat.
Yeah, backing down onto the inside. He's good. He got off the fence, he got to the inside, and he actually cleared himself. Kelly Carman was trying to take the nose away. We got a battle for the lead as well. We got this battle right here, and that was a little bit of action and into the fence. Carman was looking for a spot to slide in. Now think about Ethan Foley. Now there's another car in the fence. This is all going down for that last transfer spot, but it's going for the lead as well. Where do you look? I've only got 2 eyes, Reese. I feel like I need a spider to help me guide tonight.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on the lead. Kelly Carman just hasn't been able to keep it out of the wall the last couple of laps. He's lost touch almost with Ethan Foley and Tanner Pettit, who are now fighting tooth and nail for the win of the heat here. Oh, Nash Granger's had a problem. He's fallen back to 8th. Looks like he might have collected the wall as well, but is still rolling. Nathan Norman, unfortunately, out of the heat now, and that will be our sole retirement for the moment. Kelly Carman needs to be very careful here. Still holding on to 3rd place, but Paul Ward's coming up to try and nab him, and Daniel Boyd is not too far behind them. So momentum is incredibly important in these last 2 laps.
Well, the big thing is the battle for the lead starting to spread back out, so I think Foley's just about got that one done. He's going to come by to sneak and grab that white flag right now. He's feeling really confident, and Tanner Pettit was taking some time to him in the middle of that heat, but Kelly Carman has got to look in that rear view mirror. Have a think about the guy that's over the shoulder. That's the battle for the heat win. It's going to go the way of Foley, but who's going to take P3? Carman slots to the low side. Paul Ward elects to just make sure he secures P number 4. Daniel Boyd was mounting an attack at the back end of that one. And unfortunately for big man Boydie, it's going to be a transfer through the alphabet. He'll come from the front end of the B main, but it's work to do.
Yeah, Nathan Norman barely got any track time at all there. Just a lap or so into the race was out. Those are your results then. It's Foley, Pettit, Carman and Ward who transfer through. Now it's time for the 3rd heat. And we have a Tanner Pettit racing car on pole for this one. Aiden Forster with Paul Bryan alongside on the front row. Tim Ryan, championship leader, is going to be starting out of P3 with Matthew Stables alongside him. Riley Jones has 5th spot. Matthew Gowans has 6th. Nick Mithen, 7th spot on the grid alongside Aston Hurley. And the big surprise from qualifying, one of them anyway, Clayton Davies, no qualifying time, starting dead last.
Work to do, but that also means, he's sort of freed up. He knows that unless he does something big, he's coming through the alphabet. So sometimes that helps you because you can just go, all right, I have to be aggressive no matter what I do here, so I'm gonna be aggressive. There's gonna be some chaos that'll unfold. The other thing to think about is, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this when we get to the feature here tonight, have a look at the transition in the way that Tim Ryan's driving. Over the last couple of years, I've really said, I feel like we've seen that from him. He's been win it or bin it over the last couple of years. He's put a consistent season into this at the start of the year. It wasn't until the halfway mark we started to see that last year. He's rolling off a 3rd place. Tim Ryan's not going to go for... He's going to go for a race win. He's not going to sit there for P3.
No, certainly not. And I would expect him to try a slightly different line to everyone else. He almost always does.
Guaranteed.
He is searching for grip everywhere. There's plenty of grip up the front there for Aiden Forster. And Tim Ryan immediately trying to go for 2nd spot. There's contact, and that's going to be Tim Ryan and Paul Bryan coming together in front of the rest of the field. That causes a pile-up, and that involves Nick Mithen as well. It appears one of them has lost their rear wing there. That's some proper carnage there at the back of the field. field. That leaves Aiden Forster 1.5 seconds into the lead. And Clayton Davies making a move for second. How on earth has he managed to move up that far?
Mate, and I'll just read you a quote from Clayton Davies. "I'm too tired, haha, haven't stopped since before the weekend." So he's actually been without a whole lot of practice coming into tonight, and sometimes it looks a little bit like that. The qualifying results from Clayton Davies certainly made it look a little bit like that, but now it's Stables versus Gowans. Matty Stables is actually driving real well at the moment. He's starting to put a lot of stuff together. Tim Ryan's going to get the black flag for that first lap incident. I had a feeling was going to go against him. He'll have the work to do. Might have just commentators cursed him, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. He's put clean, consistent drives into this point. Well, unfortunately, falls apart in round 6.
Indeed it does. Tim Ryan has fought back from worse before. Gowans and Stables still trading spots for the podium as they come around to lap Tim Ryan, who's just trying to get to the checkered at this point. There's probably quite a bit of damage on the number 98. But Forster and Davies, Forster's actually comfortable running the high line at the moment, and he's walled it. Aiden Forster's gotten into the wall, and that has completely erased the gap for the win now. It's only half a second in it, coming up to the white flag.
White flag in the air. Number 10 versus his teammate. It's 10 and 20. Aiden Forster and Clayton Davies. Could this be a duking it out for the win later on? Davies trying to find some grip down low. Won't get it from the low line. But how good are the teammates throwing everything and the kitchen sink at each other?
Fantastic stuff. That's what we like to see. 2/10 in it in the end for Aiden Forster. Almost lost it at the end there. Matthew Gowans joins him on the podium, and Matthew Stables is going to make it 2 mats into the feature. Riley Jones, P5, with Nick Mithen being the last finisher on the lead lap. Tim Ryan a lap down, and that'll come down to an even worse result when that black flag is applied. Paul Bryan and Aston Hurley involved in the incident that Tim Ryan was deemed to have caused, and they will have to work their way through the alphabet as well. Heat number 4, the second last of them. Baxter Truchet on pole position with Bradley Oldfield alongside. A big variance of age in our front row here. Casey Hamilton and Lachlan Rogers have the second row of the grid. 5th place, Hamish Canestrari. He's got Hobbo 88, Brenton Hobson alongside him. Henry Fenson, newcomer to the series, starting out a P7 with Dan Grimshaw alongside him. And the other big surprise from qualifying, no time from Joel Berkeley. He too is going to be starting last. Can he do what Clayton Davies did in the last heat?
Well, does Joel Berkeley like a pair of sandbags? Because I think they're hanging out the side of the number 9 car in this one. He's certainly capable of qualifying up at the front. And again, you're 100% right. You know, Clayton Davies from the rear end of the field. Is it survival? Berkeley's going to be aggressive from the rear end of the field, I think. I don't think we'll ever see anything different from Joel Berkeley. He's not a win it or bid it. He's a little bit half step back from that, but he's certainly aggressive.
Yep, never lets up. And neither will Baxter Truchet, who's trying to defend the lead now from Bradley Oldfield, choosing the high line and launching it out of the corners. But Oldfield is running that lower line, a bit more grip down low, but he washes up wide, and that's going to be the cutback underneath from Truchet. Everyone's still incredibly close together here. Casey Hamilton and Lachlan Rogers fighting for second place, and Brenton Hobson has just gotten himself into the transfer spots. He currently sits in 4th.
Yeah, Berkeley's still down at the tail end of the field, though, and still work to do, so he's not going to be getting a transfer spot out of here at this point in time. To the bottom of the track, Truchet got checked up on the slider from Bradley Oldfield, and he's never really looked like recovering. Oldfield's looking a man full of confidence, ripping it up and around the fence, down to turn 3 and turn 4. That wall disappears, and then it jumps back out again as they get past the pit lane entry. For Hobbo 88, looking for some room in the mid-pack, but this heat is clambered up, looking from 2nd through to 5th.
This is a very tightly packed front of the field, isn't it? Oldfield and Truchet will still duke it out here. Truchet swapping back to the high line to try and get some momentum going. But Casey Hamilton is looking quite strong down there, running middle of the road, maybe just at the bottom of the banking. Brenton Hobson and Lachlan Rogers doing the same thing, and they are making it work. Some nice, consistent driving from these guys. Hamilton is trying his best to gain some distance advantage here with 2.5 laps remaining. Is this going to work, or will Hobbo steam round the outside of him? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's certainly going to have a crack at him. He's not looking to move up. They've both moved definitely up the bottom and tried to take some speed away from each other. Now Hobbo's starting to look for the alternative line. He's got some bite as he starts to look around the outside. White flags in the air for heat number 4 of the night as we're still trying to challenge each other for P3 and P4. Ultimately, it's where they start to feature from. 51 Oldfield gets to Don Hobson at the line.
Lovely stuff. Brenton Hobson getting a 10th of a second on Casey Hamilton in the end there, I think, with a straighter exit round the outside of the final turn. Oldfield, Truchet, Hobson and Hamilton will be your transferees, with Rogers, Canestrari, Henry Fenson, Daniel Grimshaw and Joel Berkeley rounding out the field. Berkeley didn't make up any positions. That's very interesting. Not the Joel Berkeley I'm used to seeing. Well, Heat 5 is upon us, and then we'll sort out any loose ends. Brady Baldwin, series administrator, going to be starting on pole for this one. Rigged! Nathan van der Wacker starts alongside him at the front of the field. Lachlan Mead and Zach Rattray-White are 3rd and 4th, with Gary Redcliffe starting P5. Bailey Leeson keeping him company on row 3. Craig Dunn has 7th spot with James Oliver in 8th, and then it's Jacob Freeman, also with no time in qualifying, last car on the grid. And for their credit, all the drivers that didn't set times in qualifying ended up taking to the grid of their respective heats. Let's see if Jacob Freeman can advance up any.
No, there's no way Brady Baldwin's that quick. I've never seen him drive well. Are you kidding? How good is it though to see the Wacker back? He's actually been off in Europe and doing some journeying around and having some fun with it. And like I said, I've got a fair bit of bias where this car's concerned. The reason for that, McLean and Yambavet, my partner owns that place. Tell you what though, the risk with that is, she's trained in castrations.
Goodness me. Well, we will turn our attention very quickly to the start of this one. Brady Baldwin back in his usual number 7 scheme after running his Forever 41 tribute scheme last round, going to bring us to the start. And Nathan van der Wacker sticks with him up top, but down low, Zach Rattray-White getting the moves done. That Eclipse Sim Sports car is looking very strong on that line. Dramas at the back though. James Oliver sent to the back. Jacob Freeman and Craig Dunn battling over 7th, but it is on for the lead for Zach Rattray-White. He's managed to take it from Baldwin, and he's making that slightly lower line work beautifully. Oh, that's a big stop there for, I think that might have been Lachlan Mead, yeah. And that collected Gary Redcliffe.
Yeah, Redcliffe's managed to find reserve and get it back out of the fence. He's going to try and jump out of the leader's way, I believe. His heat is just about all but over, and he's going to try and jump out of the leader's way and not try and destroy anyone else's night, which is good to see from Redcliffe at this point in time. No, it's going to actually be a little bit of contact for the race lead at this point in time. Redcliffe has got some work to do, but so does Zach Rattray-White. Baldwin's trying to rip the fence and trying to find some speed. Van der Wacker's moved up to the top end of the racetrack as well. Here comes the 7 car. Brady Baldwin's looking for some speed. Synergy Sim Racing trying to find that overtake.
And they managed to dispatch Gary Redcliffe, put him a lap down. Is there anything that Baldwin can do? He's feeding that right rear to the wall at every opportunity he can get. That's a little bit too much of a slide on the way in, though. That might give the advantage to van der Wacker. The door does not open to the inside just yet, though. Van der Wacker's going to have to gather a little more momentum here. Rattray-White out in front by 0.8 of a second. I think he's pretty much gone by now. Baldwin will be thinking about what's behind him. Bailey Leeson and Lachlan Mead still battling over the transfer.
Just watch the snap, though, last time through. Look at the snap from Brady Baldwin. He just can't get the power down as he tries to make some momentum. Here comes the Wacker, moves to the high side. There was a car width left to the wall. Brady Baldwin, did you leave him a little bit too much room? No, he would have been at fault. Baldwin gets snagged at the line. Van der Wacker back to P3. Leeson home in P4. Mead is going to go on missing out from James Oliver for 6th.
And Jacob Freeman and Craig Dunn, last 2 finishes on the lead lap. Gary Redcliffe, for his credit, managed to see the check-it, albeit 1 lap down. That is the mono creative heats done and dusted, and really giving us a good sense for how this night is going to go. We do now have, though, the C main upon us, presented by Wimmera Dry Cleaners, and this race is for a good portion of the drivers who weren't able to make it into the ultimate transfer here. So Henry Fenson is going to have the chance to make good on his misfortune with pole position for the C main. Jacob Freeman going to start alongside him. Trent Gosley starting P3, got Nash Granger for company on row number 2. Then it's Paul Bryan and Dan Grimshaw rounding out your top 6. Craig Dunn and David Baker 7th and 8th, and it remains to be seen if David Baker's internet issues have been resolved. Nathan Norman and Aston Hurley will round out your top 10. And then we have Joel Berkeley and Gary Redcliffe taking the last 2 spots. 6 rows of cars getting ready to get going here. And this is where I think things will really start to ramp up for Joel Berkeley. He started last for his heat and finished last. Now he's starting last for the C main. He needs to get into the top 4 to keep his night alive. Yeah,
a little bit of work to do. So gonna have to try and make that one work for him, but the trouble is, you know, C-Main, this is where it starts to get dangerous because you've got yourself 12 cars up from the 8 or 9 in the heats, now to the 12. Lots of guys to come from the rear, lots of guys trying to make their way back through here. So for Berkeley, he's got to come from 11th. There is a lot of room to work with, though. The big problem is, did you see those cars snapping? They are starting to get more and more and more sideways as they come off of turn 4. Grip is going away from this racetrack in a hurry.
Yeah, drivers will probably need to move their wings back a little bit to induce a tiny bit more understeer as the green flag flies, and we are away. Almost contact there between Freeman and Gosling. There's contact up high. Paul Bryan and Nash Granger into the fence, and Dan Grimshaw and David Baker also fallen down the order as well. That's a big shame. The number 4 of David Baker does get going just in time for our leaders to come up upon them again. Jacob Freeman has taken the lead from Henry Fenson. Trent Gosley still maintaining a top 3 position, now top 4 as he's alongside with Craig Dunn.
Yeah, and everyone's just trying to find a little bit of that speed and that patience at this point in time. I'm just keeping an eye on Berkeley. He was wrapping down towards the bottom end of the racetrack. Grip's going away from the entire thing at this point in time, and Berkeley's going to find the fence because to his inside was Nathan Norman, who managed to get the job done on the bottom of the racetrack. Right now, Freeman's managed to skate clear. He's down to a 2/10 of a second lead. A little bit of a battle for the lead. Then there's a gap back to Gosley, Dunn, Nathan Norman and Berkeley, who are throwing it down for that transfer.
57 up the inside of the number 4, and Craig Dunn is doing well there on the slightly lower line. Berkeley also demonstrating how that works out, and nowhere Nathan Norman in the number 2. How do you like that maneuver up the middle as Freeman and Fenson continue to fight over the lead?
And the big thing is there was moves thrown. They all got out of shape as they got down to the 3 and 4 that time. And Berkeley went to the bottom, wrapped it, stole it off. He had no business stealing places away from those guys. Now he's managed to steal them. Now he's got a little bit of room to work with. And Joel Berkeley's come from 11th to sit 3rd. Now it's on for the final transfer spot. 4 to go in the C main. And at the moment, Nathan Norman is hanging on by a thread. He fed the right rear, though, to Craig Dunn. And if Dunn gets back there, oh boy, he just might be in a world of trouble.
Yeah, needs to pick the line very carefully here. Search for the grip. It seems he's reasonably comfortable on that high line, but you see the car is just swaying around for Nathan Norman. And it's the same for anyone who tries to run a bit too close to the wall and doesn't have the car set up for those track conditions. Henry Fenson's still chasing Jacob Freeman, but that lead gap is growing as we speak as the white flag flies. 0.6 of a second in it. Moving between 8 and 9/10 of a second. Jacob Freeman will win the B main with Henry Fenson and Joel Berkeley rounding out your podium. That is the drive that Berkeley needed. And Nathan Norman manages to hold off Craig Dunn for that last spot in the transfers. A fantastic drive from the both of them. But we will say goodbye to Craig Dunn, unfortunately. And that's going to round things off with him being joined by Dan Grimshaw, Gary Redcliffe, Trent Gosley, Aston Hurley, and Paul Bryan. And Paul didn't even make it a lap or 2 into the race. Now, the B main. Oh boy, this is the most, I think, probably the most important race of the night, the B main presented by McSlide Race. The top 4 from this one transfer through to the feature to take up those final 4 spots. Darcy Wilson and Daniel Boyd are your front row for it, with Riley Jones having P3 alongside Lachlan Rogers. Lachlan Mead starting out of P5 has got Riley Hutchison for company on the 3rd row. 4th row of the grid, Oscar Ames and Nick Mithen. Hamish Canestrari and James Oliver are your top 10. Then it's Hadley Boyce, John Schultz and Tim Ryan rounding out the top 13. Then our top 4 from the C main join them. Freeman, Fenson, Berkeley and Norman to make it 17 cars. And well, if you thought the track was looking cramped before, you'll certainly see it here.
Yeah, it's going to start to get busy, and then it's on to the A main where it's going to get even busier yet again. And the big notes again is that Nathan Norman's going to have to come off that 17th grid spot, but is still here, is still alive, is still with an opportunity. Think about Tim Ryan though. He had the penalty, but he did manage to get out of the C main, automatic transfer to the B main. The problem being, you get yourself a penalty from the heat, got to come from the rear. This is what I wanted to see, was what it was going to be like with Joel Berkeley and Tim Ryan lining up well, not alongside of each other, but relatively close proximity from the rear end of the field. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, a couple of different approaches, I would think, for these guys, and they're racing on the most worn-in track yet. Still no word on whether there'll be a track reset for the feature, but we'll wait and see. The number 5 of Darcy Wilson leads us away. Green flag flies. It was a slow start from Daniel Boyd. He almost got swallowed up by everyone else. 3 wide for second on the way into turn 3, and they are all over the place here. Riley Jones, Lachlan Mead, Riley Hutchison all trying to get into that top 4. If you're thinking about Joel Berkeley and Tim Ryan, they are still in the last 2 spots in the field at the moment. I think they're just waiting for opportunities to move forward.
Well, they actually both went to the bottom at the same time. The only problem with going to the bottom was that they actually got into each other and checked each other up, which has taken away all momentum from the pair of them. In the meantime, it's going to be Darcy Wilson who's just punching away at the front end of town. He started trying to make
Berkeley.
Rogers. Berkeley is done for the day.
Yeah, looked like that was contact just up ahead of Tim Ryan at the time, and so big damage for the number 9. Berkeley, a previous feature winner here, will not get that chance as we find our way through to the 6th lap, 7th lap of this race. It's a huge lead for Darcy Wilson, nearly 2 seconds in it as everyone's scrapping for those crucial transfer spots. Daniel Boyd and that number 79 there currently sits in P4, but he's got the gauntlet behind him.
Yeah, and they're all starting to come after him as much as they possibly can. Keep your eyes on that absolute battle pack at the moment. There really isn't a better way to sort of describe it. It's merely more like a gauntlet with everyone just throwing haymakers. Huge one. Mead just went up and into, I think it was Oscar Amers that he got into. My word, no, it wasn't Amers. It's the car just ahead of him that's sitting in P5 at the moment. But Lachlan Mead's night will be done. It's James Oliver that just about got cleaned out. Mead was looking for a little bit of a line to find something. Now they're going to get into it. It's going to be Nathan Norman and Oscar Amers who just traded a fair bit of paint. But Henry Fenson wants to line the pair of them up and steal it if he can.
Oh, he's stuck on the inside, though. You don't always get the best exit down low on that tighter line. Tim Ryan just behind, and Tim is coming. He is running that high line. He's got the momentum. He's got the speed. Track flattens out at just the right point for him to gain a couple more tenths on Fenson here in his trip up the field. I don't think he's going to make it into the top 4, though. He's going to have to rely on a couple of things going his way, and that's one of them. Oscar Ames around, and now Tim's up to 7th, looking at P6. 2 laps to go at the front of the field. Darcy Wilson has been caught by Riley Hutchison, and Hutchison gets up the inside. And let's see if this inside line is going to work for him. The slider from Riley. Darcy cuts back underneath.
Yeah, he's going to steal that one away. White flags at the end. Now he gets in the fence. Is not the opportunity the chasing pack needs. Darcy Wilson looking strong, looking smooth. You lick your way into the main for the night as well. Riley Hutchison will have to settle for P2, but Lachlan Rogers and Daniel Boyd get it done. Tim Ryan's up over and out of here as he crosses the finish line. Points on the board for car 98. But he is in a world of hurt, and he's going to be going backwards now in terms of that championship. What has tonight's racing done for the 98's bid for an Australian title?
That is the question. Oh, I can't wait to see the championship standings coming out of this round. Ultimately, Darcy Wilson 1.4 seconds ahead of Riley Hutchison, and it all went wrong for Hutchison there on the last lap. Lachlan Rogers, P3 with Daniel Boyd joining them, taking up that last spot on the A main grid. James Oliver, we say goodbye to. Same for Nathan Norman, Tim Ryan, Henry Fenson, Hamish Canistrari, and Oscar Ames to round out our top 10, covered by 8.5 seconds. Pretty fantastic gap, all things considered. And just outside the top 10, we had Riley Jones and John Schultz last on the lead lap. Nick Mithen a lap down, and retirements from Jacob Freeman, Lachlan Mead, Hadley Boyce, and Joel Berkeley. Well, now we're in that interim warm-up period between the B and A mains, which means it's just about time for us to bring our friend the spinning wheel into the chat. Same for Brady Baldwin as well. But now we get to decide who's going to start from 6th to 10th on the feature grid, Scott.
Yeah, that it is, and it's been a bit of a challenge for these spots down at the tail end of things, at least here tonight to this point. Darcy Walker's gonna join us here in the comms block. Darcy, 5 spots open to us. Been a challenging old track though out there, watching some of the heats and seeing the B mains. I think the big thing is this middle ground where you're sort of be starting sort of from 6 down to 10. Anywhere in there is gonna be get a good launch and settle in if you can.
Yeah, mate. Well, I'm just happy I qualified so well. Very surprised about that. So it was very one-laned in the first heat there. So yeah, I'm just super stoked with it.
Yes, indeed. We're just working on a couple of things in the background. Jay's just refreshing the spinny wheel to show those correct positions. And very shortly, we'll spin it, Darcy, and we'll see where exactly you're going to be starting. Inside versus outside is going to be an interesting question. It looks like it's going to be 8th place for you. That's on the outside.
Oh, not too bad. I'll take that.
All right, very nice. Well within the top 10 for Darcy Walker. P8 start. So now we're joined by Tanner Pettit, next driver to go for it here. 8th place has already been taken. Best case scenario, 6th spot. Would you prefer an inside or outside start?
That's a good question. Probably the outside here. Just probably need a little bit more clean air up there, and I guess we'll go for the best here.
We already got some good points on the board. That 6th place is swinging by, and it looks like it's not going to come back. It's going to be 9th spot for you, Tanner.
It's solid. Got some work to do, but you got a good car, so go forward.
Indeed. Hopefully it survives. Tanner Pettit there, and his teammate Clayton Davies next up with us. So, Clayton, that was quite the drive in your heat. That was actually quite the result that you needed, and now you could be starting 6th for this one.
Yeah, we definitely shut the bed on that one in qualifying. I don't know what I was doing. I was definitely doing the wrong thing, that's for sure. No, I honestly I just went to the bottom because I thought everyone's going to be on the top anyway, so I didn't honestly think I was really going to gain many spots other than when people made mistakes. So to get up as far as I did I'm absolutely stoked about it. So anything from here is actually a bit of a win. I honestly thought I was done as soon as I screwed up qualifying.
Well, the spinning wheel has spoken, and you are indeed starting 6th, so a best case scenario result there.
Good stuff.
Well, Clayton Davies will enjoy that one. Baxter Truchet next up here. And, well, you've managed to secure yourself a top 10 position either way, Baxter. You're very strong at this track, so you'll be hoping for good stuff in the feature.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just hoping for the outside line here, which I have received, even though it's the worst what I could get. I'm just happy to be on the outside line, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 10th place for you in the end, so that's going to work out nicely for you. That means Nathan Vanderwacker is going to be starting P7 for this one. Nathan, you'll be alongside Darcy Walker on that 4th row of the grid.
Yeah, I'll take that. P7. You know, it's been a few weeks away. I've been off in Europe, so I'm just happy that the PC started up when I got home this afternoon. So, yeah, happy to be in the feature, and P7's a pretty lucky number for me. So let's see how we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well then, it is time for positions 1 through 5 to be decided. Scott, I understand you caught up with Harry Stewart, who's the first up.
Harry, mate, nice and quick out there in qualifying. Obviously put it all together. Where are you hoping for from this spinny wheel?
The front would be great because I reckon it'll be one lane on the top. But I don't know. Wherever I get, it's got to deal with it, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. It's been good to be starting up front. I'll try not to crash. Yeah. I was asking how this bloody thing works this year just then. So, second. Beautiful.
Oh.
Fantastic. That's good.
Well,
I can go backwards the whole field now.
well, let's hope that you keep it up the front, Harry. Front row start, and you're on the outside as well, which is sometimes the better option. Ethan Foley is now next up. So it could be a pole position for you here, Ethan. Obviously, that's what you'll be hoping for. But much like a few other drivers in this field, you're quite used to these short bull ring tracks.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, the spinning wheel is alive and kicking, and it's going to be pole!
Oh, happy about that one.
Yeah. Goodness me. Well, you've got a big opportunity for points now, Ethan.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see if we can finish in first and, work from there.
All right. Trying to defend the lead will be Ethan Foley there. Starting on the front row with Harry Stewart. Next up, Aiden Forster. Unfortunately, pole position is out of your reach, Aiden, but you could still be starting on the second row.
Yeah, that's still a good starting position. We'll take it. I got confidence in our car. We have a really good car. Once again, thanks to Tanner. And yeah, hopefully we can keep the good runs going. And we had a rough week last week, so hopefully we can get a better run here and get some points going for us.
It's a good start. Third place for you.
Awesome. That's good. I'll take that. That gives us a lot of lead room going into 1 and 2, being able to make some moves there. So, like I said, hopefully we can get us a good finish here and get us some points, because last week really put us back, and Tim missing the feature this week definitely gives us a chance to capitalize on a tough week last week. So we'll take it. We're going to give it all we have for 40 laps.
Excellent stuff. Second last of the drivers to come in, Bradley Oldfield. You were on the podium last time ODSE raced here in the 360s, Bradley. You'll be hoping for the same here, I'm sure.
We'll give it a go. No raving chances, but we'll give it a crack.
From fourth, you've got a good chance.
Oh, beauty. Boggers.
Bradley Oldfield to start in P4 for this one, and that means Zach Rattray-White, you have secured yourself the back end of the top 5. You're starting on the inside, which, depending on which driver you talk to, is either an advantage or a disadvantage. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's good to be up front at least. I think out of the way of trouble and whatnot, but I'm not sure it will make much difference. I've been told recently that I can't handle much pressure, so it's we'll have to wait and see.
Thanks, mate. Any time to throw you on the bus, you know how it is.
No worries.
Oh, dearie me. Well, that's our grid, Scott. Ethan Foley starting on pole position. I believe this is his first pole. And, well, if he manages to finish anywhere in the top 3, that's going to be massive points for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, but also remember back to what we were talking about at the start of the night, is that we had him as a little bit of a dark horse. Well, all of a sudden the dark horse is getting bigger, and all of a sudden it's right here and it's there on pole. Big opportunity, but there's a big feature race to come. 40 laps around here is going to be challenging, but the big discussion already from all the drivers is we're trending towards a single groove mindset at the front end of this heat. If he can control that pacing, like you said at the front of the broadcast as well, 6 cautions from this place last year, but we had 50 less cubic inches. Does that increase the caution count? Ethan Foley says he really, really wants it to. I can tell you right now. He wants back-to-back yellows, baby.
Yep, he wants those short bursts of being out the front and then the pressure just easing as they tour around behind the pace truck for a few laps. Don't forget, though, that laps do not count under caution, so the drivers will have to be careful of how much fuel they put in the car. We haven't really seen that be an issue this season so far, but it is still something that will be in the back of many of the drivers' heads. Checkered flag has been thrown for this warm-up session, and it looks like we won't be getting a track reset. That's interesting. We're going to be seeing drivers brave it up the top, but I think the bottom is going to be where the real grip is. So that's your A-main starting order there. Ethan Foley and Harry Stewart, your front row, then Aiden Forster and Bradley Oldfield, Rattray-White and Davies, Van der Wacker and Walker, Pettit and Truchet, rounding out your top 10. All the way down to Daniel Boyd. Anyone jumping out to us from these spots lower down? I think Brady, P15. He was looking pretty quick earlier on in the night. He'll be looking to work his way forward. I think Rusty O'Neill is another driver who will be looking to see scything up through the field as well. Baxter Truchet was fast, starting out a P10 as well.
Yeah, so Trichet will be an interesting one. Like you said, Foley, there's a lot of opportunity to be at the front. But also for those guys a little bit deeper in the field, if they can keep it clean, like we said, 6 cautions last year, that's also 6 opportunities for cars to be eliminated from this one. The big thing tonight is we always talk about it. Lap 15, normally the window whereby the fast repair shuts. Tonight, that will be lap 20. So halfway through the feature, and at that point in time, spare cars will be switched off. There will be no opportunity to do that. Everyone will be hoping for a little bit of clean running. If we do get some clean running and things start to spread out, the biggest benefit about that is deeper and further back in the field. Again, opportunity to show speed. We talked about that all night long. Wider track, more opportunity to show it. Look, it's going to be a challenge tonight. No matter where you are in this field, it is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, it's one of the shortest tracks on the schedule, 400 meters in length, Fairbury Speedway, and although it looks very wide from these angles, I can tell you, and we've already seen that the actual line that gets you the fastest around here is very narrow indeed. It's going to be a tightly packed racetrack with 24 cars taking to the start here. It won't be long before the leaders are coming up on lappers.
Yeah, 10-second lap from qualifying. Think about that. How quickly these guys are firing around, and we've got 24 cars. Survival's important, but also is going forward. And here they go, forward out of 1 and 2 for the first time.
Harry Stewart dipping down a little bit lower than our pole sitter Ethan Foley, but Ethan's going to hold on to it. Seems very comfortable up high. There's problems further back. We see Paul Ward, Riley Hutchison and Bailey Leeson with some damage, and that is going to put a thorn in the side of our leaders for sure. Bailey Leeson stopped in the wall, and that's brought out the yellow.
Yeah, Leeson's front right was ripped off of that car, and his night, I think, is done on lap 1 of the feature. There was another car that was involved in that one. There's another car that's gone around as well. I'm just trying to pick up that. I think it's Paul Ward who's around on the bottom of the racetrack. There's about 4 or 5 cars that basically just all got into each other, and there's nothing they could have done.
Yeah, Paul Ward was coming up the circuit. Bailey Leeson was trying to cut underneath the 46 of Matthew Stables, and unfortunately that just ended up involving Riley Hutchison. He was trying to go for a gap that was just ever closing. There's the initial contact, Ward getting into it, and then Hutchison just finds his way into the wall himself. Manages to stay rolling pretty nicely until Bailey Leeson, with no steering, goes up into him once again. That's just unfortunate. Leeson had no control over that car.
Yeah, car was already broken at that point in time. So, yeah, look, there's not much more that really could have been done. Order's going to be a little bit shuffled up here. I think there's an issue with a couple of cars that potentially could have gone a lap down in all that cycle as well. Yellow flag took a fair while to come out, unfortunately. So there was some issues. But there was also a secondary incident as well. Paul Ward was just trapped on the bottom of the racetrack. Not going to be going green this time by. We'll be going green here in just a few moments.
Yeah, looks like the leaders are coming back around to pick up the pace truck again. So, just a tiny little bit of confusion here. It can happen at these very short dirt ovals. But it looks like we're going to just about sort ourselves out here. A little bit more fuel being burnt as the drivers pick up speed, but now they'll form back up, and we should be going green in a couple of laps. Only the 3rd lap of this race. We've got an awful long way to go.
That we do. Only a couple laps ticked off in terms of this one, so we'll reset and we'll get an opportunity to go green this time. Lights are going to come off of that pace car. Hands of the field will be back in control of Ethan Foley. He's going to look to try and fire this one off here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here from Fairbury Speedway for your A-Main tonight.
Two-wheeling it. Off the launch there was Ethan Foley. Needs to be careful of that. There's so much power going through these cars. They'll do wheelies if you're not careful. The racing goes on further back. The number 51 of Bradley Oldfield. Sorry, that's not Bradley Oldfield. Darcy Walker. My apologies. A little bit of confusion on the number there, but he's worked his way nicely into P12. He's down a bit from where he would have started, but that is all by the by. You can make up places very easily if things go wrong for people in front of you. Speaking of things going wrong, there's Oldfield in the number 51, fighting with Aiden Forster, sorry, for the last spot on the podium. Who's going to get the best run out of the turns here? It looks like everyone up the front is running the high line. No one wants to go low.
And the big problem is, as soon as you throw a slider, you are at risk of losing spots, not just gaining them at the moment. Tanner Pettit's trying to set it down to the inside of Kelly Carmen. Can he get back up and take that top line back away? Look at the sliders that have started to be thrown a little bit deeper in the field as well. Van der Wack has just started throwing one back at Tanner Pettit. They're battling in just inside the top 10 at this point in time, but you've got to look backwards as much as you can look forwards. All of a sudden, the field is just starting to stretch its legs and really, really spread out. Matthew Stables is trapped down on the bottom line at the moment. Caution's going to come out for lap 11, and there's a car up in the fence off of turn 2.
Casey Hamilton, no front wing on that car, and it looks like the steering might not be in great shape either for the number 93. We'll have to wait for the replay to see exactly what happened. It seems we're being told that he hasn't had a front wing for quite a while, so not entirely sure what's gone on here for Hamilton. The Simrat Market replay will tell the story, and it looks like he got a tap from behind from the number 27 of Paul Ward.
The problem is you can just see the difference in grip level that he had, and if he'd have moved off that top, if he'd have been unpredictable, so it seems, you know, weird that he's sitting there and he's resting up against the fence, but the reason he's resting up against the fence is everyone can see where he is. So everyone knows exactly where he's going to be. It's all about being predictable.
And if there's any track on the schedule where you need a front wing, it's Fairbury. You need rotation around this place. Power down again for Ethan Foley. At the moment, the race is turning out exactly in his favor, like he wanted it. It's looking like some pretty... Oh, dear, this could be another caution if we are not careful. Round they go. That's going to be Brock Thompson going around. That's involved Baldwin, Van der Wacker as well. Nathan Van der Wacker, I think, just flipped.
Yeah, I think he's gone up, over, and out of here, and I think his night is certainly going to be done. And there's a little bit of discussion about who's going to be available for fast repairs. The big thing that I was just sort of watching there was Matthew Stables was actually down and wrapping the bottom, and it really worked well for him, because when everyone started transition and making that contact, look at them all. They were all feeding into the same area up on the top side of the track. Starts deeper in the field. I think it wasn't Kelly Carmen, but then everyone sort of gets checked up, and then Van der Wacker gets fed into the fence.
Yeah, that happened right in front of the bigger crash that we saw that sent Brock Thompson around. Well, Van der Wacker has managed to get into the pits and get a fast repair done. They're still within the window. This is what happened a bit further back. Goodness me, a lot of confusion further back there.
Tanner Pettit's actually stuck his hand up and said, hey, look, immediately, that one's on me. I really, really apologise directly to Nathan Van der Wacker. So sportsmanship at the utmost being shown.
Yes, but rules are rules, and Tanner Pettit has been given an end-of-line penalty by race control for that. So he'll be starting at the back when they go green again. The caution period has been extended slightly to make sure that things get sorted out. I didn't see whether or not we have single-file restarts happening now.
Thompson was getting pinched in the middle of a 3-wide situation. I was looking for the other car that was back there. It was Rattray White was the other car, the white and red car that was sort of stuck in the middle of things. Just about to go green. Here we go.
And it is a single file restart. So away we go. Ethan Foley leads us across the line to start lap 14. And he is getting really sideways up the top there, but that's giving him the right amount of rotation. Got to be careful not to get into that concrete, though. Rattray White holding on to P6 for the moment. He managed to escape that contact with Brock Thompson, but he's under a lot of pressure from Baxter Truchet and Kelly Carmen. Brenton Hobson and Matthew Gowans are fighting over the last two positions in the top 10. Gowans running that low line. A cut underneath, meanwhile, here from Matthew Gowans. It's not quite enough to get the leg up on Hobbo.
Here we go. It's starting to get busy in this middle of this pack, and now Gowans was just trying to feed it into that middle group. There just wasn't enough by it. on that right rear corner. Hobson sticks it back up against the fence and says, right, if you're going to find a way by me, it's going to take some risk. But all of a sudden, Hobson elected to run the bottom lane, and Gowans just goes straight to the top and steals that one away. Hobbo with the mistake to change lanes.
And you saw, I don't know if you caught it, but I saw Matthew Gowans making a rear wing change before he made that move. He moved the rear wing forward, which would give him a bit more rotation through the corners, and God knows you need it with how much of the slick we're seeing through these turns, especially on entry. Looks like there's no grip out there. There's a little strip of fresh clay up the top on the entry to the turns that the drivers are using, but it's proving more and more difficult every lap to find where the grip is.
Well, the difficult part in this sort of racing is we're going to cross that fast repair window is now closed as well. The difficult spot that everyone seems to look at it and go, mate, it's just clay, it's just turning left. It's really, really easy stuff. Well, the thing is the track changes every single time by. You've got 20 sprint cars out there ripping track up, changing the lanes. Have a look at the lanes that are being changed. The way that you make moves as well. It's not all about just sticking the same groove together lap after lap after lap. Paul Ward's in the lap car in the 27 machine, struggling at the moment. Dropping back. He's dropped off the lead lap at this point in time. Now they're all still wrapping it. I think Brady Baldwin had an internet connection issue or a PC outage. He's dropped from the server.
That's a shame, and in the midst of all of this, we seem to have missed Bradley Oldfield and Harry Stewart getting past Ethan Foley. The caution has come back out, and now Foley will be restarting from third. Lachlan Rogers and Darcy Wilson, the two cars involved in that incident. We'll grab a SimRat market replay for you very shortly to see how that went down.
You just see they're all fighting for that same little bit of real estate up and against the fence. One car gets up there, takes the line away. That's the yellow out there. So it's just tricky. It's just Lachlan Rogers that's going up and over in this one, up and against the fence, in there hot. But you can just see that the track has just developed. Like there's nothing there at the moment. They're running on the slick, and they're running up against the fence. And they're just trying to use that berm just to turn that car. That's the only thing they're trying to do. It's risk versus reward, because there is a lot of challenge out there at the moment.
Yeah, seeing some nice fresh clay in the middle down there, but with all of the slick on the entries and exits, I don't think the bottom is really viable at this point. I don't think any line really has any advantage over the other right now. You take the title line, and you'll just lose out. That was not Lachlan Rogers, the other number two, Riley Hutchison. Yeah, he was actually on the brakes for Lachlan Rogers. Rogers escaped just before he arrived on the scene. We're back to green flag though, and we are more than halfway through the race. So now the pressure is on for Ethan Foley to try and get the lead back here. Bradley Oldfield and Harry Stewart, a 1-2 for Elix Sim Sports, a track where they have had plenty of success in the past. But now, Ethan Foley's going to be trying something different. He's going to get chased down by Aiden Forster, though. This is going to be quite the matchup. Whoa, look at Stewart going for the slider on the inside and cut back underneath from Oldfield. Foley's going to take advantage of the lack of momentum and try and pull a slider himself. It's not going to work. There's no momentum. Oh, he manages to stay ahead of Forster.
Well, he blocked that middle groove, and he just held him up just a little bit. Now he's going to be trying to hold back up. Ethan Foley, they're both up in the front. Here comes Forster. He's going to get down and underneath the pair of them, takes their spots away. Now it's a scramble for third on the racetrack. On the racetrack with Foley. He gets locked together. I think it's Rattray White that's underneath him. Yes, it is. It's the Eclipse Sim Sports machine. Kelly Carmen, no, my apologies. Riley Hutchison slides through on the high side of that one, and something's gone down for Wacker.
Very slow, Nathan van der Wacker, as Stewart gets into the wall again. The 34 Oh no! There's multiple cars in the wall, and Ethan Foley has lost both of his aerodynamic devices. Our pole sitter is out.
Ethan Foley is done for the day. And that was looking so promising for car 14. So promising and a huge opportunity. But you heard from Aiden Forster before we jumped into this one. Such a big opportunity tonight, but the racetrack's tricky. This is not an easy place to get around. Have a look at both of these guys. They're both into the fence, and Foley just gets a bigger piece of it.
Oh, he gets hit on the way through as well. That's what took off the rear wing. And, well, from that point on, it was a wingless sprint, which is certainly not going to be competitive in this kind of race. The other car up in the wall there was Riley Hutchison, actually. He managed to get himself up into the wall again as well. Seems like those concrete walls are especially hungry.
Yeah, they are. Something else has happened to Baxter Truche.
Oh my god.
My
he was running in
word.
5th, gets absolutely T-boned by Rattray White as he sped through. And, well, just like that, we're back to green flag again. Lap 32, lap 33, 8 laps to go. And Bradley Oldfield holding on from Aiden Forster and Harry Stewart. Here comes Clayton Davies. We got 2 Tanner Pettit racing cars and 2 Ulick Sim Sports cars battling for the top 4 behind Matthew Gowans and Kelly Carmen. Oh no, indeed, something's gone wrong in the midfield.
Darcy Walker got into someone. I think it might have been the 2 machine that was running in the middle of that pack. O'Neill's in there a little bit bent. Now Hutchison's missing the front end off of it. He's going to get a tap from Paul Ward. Paul Ward's a lap down. O'Neill's now missing the front wing off of that thing. So the front end's going to be not glued to, I was about to say tarmac, but there ain't none of that out here. Although we're starting to burn through dirt. We might be back to tarmac in a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's so slick out there. It's so difficult to keep the momentum up. You can see that the car is barely turning at all now for Oldfield. He'll be running that rear wing all the way back for maximum stability through the corners, but he'll really need to wrestle that thing to get the rotation. Aiden Forster still chasing and still keeping himself in the fight. Lapped traffic may play a part here with 2 laps to go.
Running out of time now, lap 39 of 40, and then Bradley Oldfield is feeling comfortable, but he better not take a look back and through the rear view mirror. Harry Stewart is a fair way off, so it's going to be a 2-way fight. White flags in the air, leaders are coming through. Aiden Forster is going to challenge for a race win, gets down there, turns underneath him. Forster at the line, Forster by half a wheel at the line. The American wheelman, he gets up there, he steals it. Yet again, said at the top of the night there was going to be an opportunity to rip points away from Timmy Ryan. The man has done it.
Excellent job from Aiden Forster. Put his car in exactly the right spot there. Forced Oldfield to try the cutback, and Forster was just able to maintain the momentum off turn 4 there by just enough. 27 thousandths of a second is the gap. And my goodness, the donuts will taste sweet there for Aiden Forster. This was a big round for he and the rest of the championship contenders, with Tim Ryan again missing out on the feature. Big points on offer there for the number 20.
Yeah, but that's not how the car's supposed to sit up. That somebody get that car over to Tech. He may not pass. He's rolled the car. Oh, hang on. Get Bradley Oldfield. He may not be out of this one just yet.
That's what he'd be hoping for if this were a meat space competition. That is the official gap right there. Those 2 cars, bottom middle. That's Forster and Oldfield. Yeah,
it's a wheel.
It literally is.
What a race! Again. I look. 27,000. What was last week? 34,000. I think it was last time around.
Yeah, something like that.
We've had 2 separate race wins, combined winning margin less than 3/4 of a tenth. Less than 3/4 of a tenth, back-to-back races, Reese. This is why we love going sideways on a Wednesday night.
Oh yeah. I live for this stuff. This is fantastic. Oh wow. Your official results then. 0.027, the gap for the win for Aiden Forster, with Bradley Oldfield doing a sterling job of defending that lead in the dying laps, but losing it on the run to the line. Harry Stewart rounds out your podium there. So Ulick Sim Sports still gets 2 cars on the podium there, with Clayton Davies finishing P4, Matthew Gowans P5. Rattray White finishes P6 with Tanner Pettit behind. Brock Thompson, we saw him turned around earlier on in the race. Somehow he's managed to recover to finish 8th. Brenton Hobson getting a top 10, as well as Daniel Boyd. Sterling job.
Yeah, phenomenal job for Daniel Boyd down there. He scored a boatload of points after thinking he wasn't going to race tonight. How about that one? Kelly Carmen home in P11 does some more points on the board. That car was quick, though. I think Kelly's going to be a little bit disappointed with P11 tonight because he definitely had potential to stick that one together. But it's the old heads that certainly race it up when you come to a tricky one like Fairbury. Vanderwacker home off of the lead lap, as was Darcy Walker, Matthew Stables, and Rusty O'Neill. Then we get back to 2 laps down. Casey Hamilton was there 2 laps down. Paul Ward was just in a world of hurt, 4 laps down. Riley Hutchinson, how many times do we see him in and amongst it, getting bent, getting slid, getting hit? Back to Truchet. Man, Truchet was on for a top 5 tonight, and he was looking set for it, and then it all fell apart. But the pole man doesn't get it done from Fairbury. He doesn't even finish in the podium. He doesn't even finish inside the top 2, and it's 20th spot for Ethan Foley.
Yes, barely even a classified finish. Definitely not one for Lachlan Rogers, Darcy Wilson, Brady Baldwin, and Bailey Leeson. Leeson, the first car out and bringing out that first caution. An absolute junkyard further back, but up the front, my goodness, Aiden Forster will be a very happy man. He joins us now. Welcome, Aiden, and, well, congratulations. Grabbing it from Oldfield in those last few meters, that must have been tight.
Yeah, that was insane. That lap traffic definitely made it interesting there. Really, I was actually really hoping we would have got to lap traffic more there once I was sitting fourth, and maybe those guys would move off it. And Ethan Foley actually moved off it there, and that was really putting a really good race on, in my opinion, once we got the lap traffic there, because it forced us leaders to move off the top and got a side-by-side racing. But once again, awesome that we can get another win here. I mean, the series is awesome. So, like I said, we were able to get some good points once again, and yeah, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about the track evolution, because like we were able to tell quite a bit from the outside, but how hazardous was it really to run the top? And did you think at any point the bottom would be viable later on?
Didn't really think it would be unless like you got to lap traffic and had nowhere else to go, but track definitely slowed way down there. There was a big progression in the amount of throttle control you needed there as the race went on. So that really played a factor there in how you drove the car, and it might have been one liner on the top, but it was fun to run it. So, like I said, pretty clear we can get us another one. I think that's win number 3 on this season. Hopefully we can keep it going.
Yes, indeed. Well, on that note, the floor is yours. Anyone you want to thank, give a shout out to before we let you go.
Yeah, first of all, most importantly, can't thank Tanner Pettit enough at TPR. He puts in a lot of time to help all of us out on just everything when it comes to driving, sub, whatever it is. He's done a lot for us to get us to compete at this level. So, first of all, I can't thank him enough. Also, got to thank Jimmy P. Mac Tools, 1425 Photography, Aces Up Sim Sport, C Cinematography, Trackside Collective, Blake Carrick Racing, everybody that helps us out.
Excellent stuff. Aiden Forster in the number 20, winner of the A main tonight here at Fairbury. We'll be seeing you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Lovely stuff. Meanwhile, finishing second by the narrowest of margins, Bradley Oldfield stood by with Scott Rankin.
Brad, tough one to stomach at the back end of the night. You had the lead, you looked set, you felt comfortable for all but the last 10 meters of that one, mate. Look, car looks slick. The Ulick machines have been really, really strong at Fairbury over the last couple of years, but 410s here, different challenge. But I think the big thing is, how good is the racing in 2026?
I'm not gonna lie, that was some of the most fun I've had for a long time. Yeah, that was an awesome race. As you say, tough one to swallow, getting beat on the last corner, but that was still one of the coolest races I've done for a fair margin. So,
you and the Slick Simsport, Ulick Simsport boys are just putting it all together at the moment, mate. In terms of speed from this racetrack, obviously tough roll of the gig for Joel Berkeley, a lot deeper down in terms of that field. But hey, yourself and Harry right up here and at the pointy end at the moment. So teams certainly got some strength still open to you. What race are you targeting to the end of the season to try and nick another win out of here?
I'm actually doing a fair bit of traveling later this year, so I don't know actually how many more rounds I'll be able to do. But anyone I roll up to, I give a good shot at winning. I think we definitely, like the Euler guys, Harry, Darcy, Joel, we all prefer a smaller bull ring where it really draws out like the driver skill. So we definitely prefer that over a big track. We definitely relies on a lot more setup stuff, and definitely this year we've had a lot of help with Colin from BBS providing us with setups for those big tracks. But when it comes to these small tracks, all I did was roll up with a setup from that we used last year, and that happened to work again. So can't complain. To get beat by like a guy who runs laps and laps and laps and more laps on this, you can't be too salt when you're just rocking up and having a bit of fun. But no, definitely can't complain. That was Ripper.
Finally, who gets it done for you in the 51 Ulick machine? Ladies and gentlemen, Bradley Oldfield likes to thank.
First off, I'll just thank you guys for putting on the stream, Brady, all the admin team for hosting it. They do a ripper job week in, week out. I don't think they get enough praise for what they do behind the scenes. Pace Apparel, Stick Suspension, Ultra Engines, Oldfield Settlement Services, Comex Civil. As I said, the boys back in the Discord, Harry, Joel, Darcy, everyone who helps out. Doesn't seem like much, but everyone does a fair bit.
Mate, congratulations on getting it done out of P2 here tonight. Go off and enjoy with the boys. And hey, well, at least you travelled quickly around Fairbury Speedway tonight. Travel speed, brother.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Excellent stuff from Bradley Oldfield tonight. A very well-earned second place and a very well-earned third place from his teammate Harry Stewart. You were always strong at this track, Harry. You had to battle your way through a little bit, but surviving the gauntlet was key, and that's how you got it done.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool. I honestly thought that'd be one of the worst races with how the track was in the practice and whatnot. But that was probably, well, for me anyway, because I was actually in the race up front, one of the best ones we've had in track-wise. So, no, that was cool. Like the lap cars was absolutely nuts. Yeah, I probably didn't do as well through it as I probably should have, but no, that was cool and added a new element that we probably haven't really seen as much as we really should have in the series anyway. But that was good. I thought I was trucking along pretty good behind Ethan, and then the whole lap traffic thing happened and I was behind Bradley, and then I just turned to absolute mud, just started driving like a peanut. So if I could just put a whole race together, I might be somewhere closer to whoever's leading at the end of the race. But no, it was good. I just got to do better.
Oh, well, a podium's a podium in the end, and you have got some pretty big points from tonight. Just a quick look forward to next week. We're going to Weed Sport for the next round. Quite an unconventional layout for a dirt oval, some 4 distinct corners there. You've had plenty of experience around that place. What do you think it's going to bring?
Yeah, it'll probably be good. I think usually we go there and everyone kind of doesn't want to do it because it is so weird, but I think it's usually one of the better races that we go to. I have no idea if it still is with how the cars are now or whatnot, but no, it should be good. Hopefully I could just put a whole night together again like I have been doing, and well, besides Kokomo, but yeah, just actually try and run for points and finish instead of when I'm not going to win, just absolutely send myself over the fence.
All right. Well, you'll be taking your partners and sponsors with you on your way over the fence. Anyone that you want to name in particular before we let you go?
Colin at BBS Setups, helping us out a bunch this year. Everyone who's doing the running the races with us, Joel, Bradley, Darcy from Ulick, you guys for broadcasting, Brady and his whole admin team for putting on the series and doing the hard work in the off season to get the sponsorship money that we all get to race for, and yeah, it makes an enjoyable Wednesday night during the work week to get on and muck around on here, and yeah, certainly makes Thursday and Friday nice when you do well, and the opposite either way. So yeah, no, cool.
It's all part of the love of the competition. Harry Stewart there, the last podium sitter for tonight's racing here at Fairbury Speedway. And that's going to bring our broadcast to a conclusion, Scott. We do still have a couple of things to cover. Jay apparently has tallied up those Speedway draft results, so we'll see where we sit. That's before. Okay, that's before. 10,500 for me. Oh, the gap's still pretty narrow.
No. It opened. If you have a look, you're opening it up. I guarantee you that 20. Remember we talked over the last couple of weeks. Anytime you get over 2,200, that's a phenomenal night. I reckon you've won the night again.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. All right. I can't math apparently. Jay Kennedy says he finished second last of everybody, only gaining 1,527 points. And apparently I'm second for the week. Who was first? I only missed out by 14 points. My goodness. Wow. Okay. Well, Yep, my scattershot strategy has worked well for me so far. I am going to keep doing it. Really, honestly, I don't come into that with any planning. It's like 15 minutes before the show. I'm just coming off a stream. I'm like, okay, which drivers do I think are going to do well here? And that's it. Look, I'll take my laurel in any case. Moving on to the upcoming schedule here, Scott. You're going to be behind the wheel at the Circuit de 24 du Mans for the Moser Porsche Pro Invitational, and then Phillip Island, the 500-kilometer enduro for the Logitech G V8 Pro Series on the 26th of June.
Yeah, big week, that one as well. So that's in a couple weeks' time. The big thing is next week, we're off the weed sport in this one. Then we get through the big week, the first of the Enduro weeks in terms of the V8 Pro Series, but it also comes with that added bonus of the Moser Porsche Pro Invitational as well, just like you mentioned. 2 more weeks worth of sim racing from the Dirt Sphere, Port Royal, just a couple days before the 4th of July. Could we call it the Royal 4th of July? Well, not quite. Knoxville will follow, the big one, the big bad one. Everyone wants to win at Knoxville as well, before another Porsche Pro round at Circuit Sandford, immediately followed up with another 500Ks from Sandown. It's going to be a big, look at that, 17th of June to 17th of July, and there are 7 race meetings in that time period. We have got a lot of racing in the next month.
Oh, we certainly have. There's the date for Logitech G V8 Pro, the Phillip Island 500. From 6:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And of course, Porsche Pro Invitational at Le Mans, 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Time on the 24th of June. And of course, in just 7 days' time for us here at Weed Sport, a very strange circuit, this one. It always throws up a few surprises. It's one of my favorite dirt tracks on the service. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you all are too. Hope you can join us for that next Wednesday, starting from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern. That's 6 p.m. for those of us here in the West. A huge thanks to everybody in the field and in the admin team for bringing us this event in the first place. The Illinois Dirt Classic at Fairbury Speedway going once again to Tanner Pettit Racing in the hands of Aidan Forster. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes pressing all the buttons. We are SimSpeed TV, and we will see you again in 7 days' time.